Okay, everybody, we're going to get started. And if I hear people kind of continuously coming in, I'll just quickly try and add them in and keep moving forward with the presentation. Um, oh, here we go. Okay, I let it know. Like I said, I will keep adding people into the forum. So I'm going to go ahead and present my screen. I'm really looking forward to going over all this information because I've actually, through my own work experience, been working with, small to enterprise level businesses, nonprofits, foundations for probably the last 8 years. And a lot of the information I'm going to cover today is stuff that I found to be the most actionable for businesses or entrepreneurs to use as they're kind of building their company, as they're building their initiatives. So I hope you guys find all this stuff really interesting because it was kind of tailored to the work that you guys do day in and day out. Like I mentioned, will be recording this, so I'll be uploading it on our YouTube channel. For anyone who wasn't able to make it, which it is a Wednesday, everyone's busy. So just know that if you had a friend or anybody else that you might want to forward this to, if it's helpful, that you can do so. So my name's Heather. I'm the marketing director for AZ Goods. We have, grown exponentially since 2020, and a lot of this information I'm going to go over with you guys is actually stuff that we've utilized within our orgs and found a lot of amazing traction from it. There's going to be best practices from, a large number of tech companies that sort of run the online marketing world, and I'm going to share some of those with you guys as well today too. Let me go ahead and present my screen. I will, if we have enough time, because I only have so many minutes on this recording link, we can go over questions, but just know you can always talk to me after, and I'd be happy to kind of go over any further information that might help you to utilize all of this good stuff. So presenting now. Okay. Okay, here we go. So the nonprofit forum, online marketing, effective storytelling, and AI. So I'm going to first go over AZ Goods, kind of where we're at and how we've grown over the last couple of years. And then we're going to dive right in and basically go over the information that you're going to need to kind of help guide you to doing all this great stuff. And there's some certain things in certain starting places that I found to be most helpful, especially when you're thinking of how you need to be communicating. The very simple way to start is by understanding who your audience is to kind of know what is going to be best for you to communicate to them. Again, in order for you to communicate to them, you have so many tools that you can use, to communicate virtually online. I do have some tricks in here for in person, but today we're going to mostly focus on online tools and everything digital. And then just kind of some best practices with taking this information that you're going to learn today and kind of incorporating it consistently throughout all of your media channels and so on and so forth. So to kind of give you guys just an idea about AZ Goods, we do have some very important relationships with some retailers that distribute us all these donated items. We are definitely looking to increase our donation network because we have grown so exponentially by word of mouth that we need more items to support that. And we are very diligently working on that as we speak. So some of the ones that you guys might be familiar with, or if you don't know as much, here are some of the ones that we definitely use often. The CVS Pharmacy, Amazon, Walmart. Some of these are national relationships and some of these are also local. And to kind of give you our timeline, we started in 2020 during the pandemic. This was a kind of an idea that came our way through Sunshine Acres Children's Home. They were approached to kind of become this distribution partner to receive all these donated items and then work with a 501c3 nonprofit network to then give all these items to those individuals and to support the programs. So I started pretty much right at the around in 2021, and that's actually one of my jobs that I first had, was basically expanding just through word of mouth, calling nonprofits, networking with nonprofits, and increasing our network. We have around 90 right now, not just in Arizona, but we do have a couple in other states as well that we support. And the cool thing was that we even got to work with some state organizations like the Arizona Department of Child Safety. So we tried to, not just from a nonprofit level, but also from a state level, try and get these resources to the right hands as best as we could. And then it was pretty amazing after we did it all, because we looked at our financials, and in 2022, we realized we probably distributed right around 60 million worth of retail products directly to the nonprofits. And obviously we know that that means that the right people got these items, and we're extremely happy about, that aiding to our mission. And basically our goal, like I mentioned, 2023 is, we want to support as many nonprofits that we can. We're working to create like a resource landing page so our nonprofits can, know local resources that are available to them, because we do support pretty much the entire state of Arizona for the nonprofits that do want to work with us. So to help with response time and networking and helping everybody get the right things that they need to support their clients, we are working on initiatives like that. And that's kind of our timeline right now, where we're at. And you can look at us, just so, again, the words product philanthropy is still kind of new. Basically, that we're just a distribution partner with nonprofits, where we get these donations from these retailers and connect them to do better nonprofit work. Obviously, we ensure all 501c3 organizations are approved. We vet them out through the IRS website every time we get an application. And we, again, make sure that the way that these items are getting out to the individuals are upheld, and that, we're always constantly monitoring, making sure our nonprofits are doing the right thing with the items we've been given. It's a lot of responsibility and a lot of resources, so we want to take care of it. And basically, again, as a nonprofit, being able to work with us, especially if you have programs where like our distribution process works for you, it allows a lot of nonprofits more dollars for whatever else they want to put back into their organization, rather than spending 100% on retail. We usually save nonprofits 70 to 90% off of what they would have gotten in retail. So when used right, it becomes a major way nonprofits can help their clients and, do more with their programs. Okay, so we'll first get into it. So always, whenever you're thinking about writing content, you want to think about who it's for. So I put, where art thou, audience? Because you have to, obviously, the type of people maybe that you want to work with, whether it's, businesses that might be donating to your nonprofit, or maybe collaborations, with other people in the state or, system that might benefit sort of your area. I've seen a lot of nonprofits kind of collaborate together and just do a lot of amazing events. So I'm going to kind of help you sort of break this down a little bit and kind of get your eyes set on what you're going to be making all this content for. And I put a love letter to setting your goals and finding your people. And I think this quote, if you're not talking, they aren't listening, is probably like the most important thing to think about, because literally everybody, think about it, is in their head day in and day out. They're focused on what they need to do, whether that's even work related or personal related. If they're not seeing your messaging, they're probably not going to think about you, which means you're probably not going to have the engagement that you're looking for happen. So a couple of things that, especially like in my own consulting work, that I go through with each organization is figuring out, like, what do you have as like an asset for yourself, where we can kind of start off like a low-hanging fruit kind of thing, such as, do you have emails that you've selected and people have said, okay, like, I would love to join your newsletter or get more involved? Because again, you can't send anybody any marketing content unless they've been approved and accepted. by them giving their consent to say you can send them things, because that is definitely a big no-no in doing. Or do you feel like a social media reach would be great because you already maybe have a profile you made, and then obviously all of your friends, family might be on there, because we're going to talk about a little bit more about the value of them too supporting you and your initiatives. Or is it like in person, like such as, we're a member of a couple chambers in Arizona. So a lot of the beginning of my work was going to networking events through word of mouth again, or I'm kind of the no shame person. I'll just show up to like a business, like for example, like some of the retailers that we want to partner with, we can just walk right in and maybe have like a piece of material, some marketing asset to show them why I'm in person here, prompting them to take me seriously and listen to what I have to say. Or professional networking sites. There's definitely a lot of those. I'm thinking like LinkedIn, but now there's genuinely so many. I've literally been invited to some of these professional networking sites, and like those can work great too. So in thinking about all of this, you want to again remind yourself, okay, who do I have the most access to, and in what sort of area? That way you can kind of start there first and get kind of your first marketing material out there and have it at least be seen and probably effectively used. I'm a really big fan in marketing of, understanding that we're talking to humans and we're not just selling people stuff, because, especially nowadays, we're looking for authenticity. No one just wants to be sold something. People want to be a part of things that they value. And if you, as a nonprofit, have an incredible story or impact that you're trying to get out there, you want to convey that and allow them to see why it's so important that their support matters, because then that person basically will say, you know what, like that is something that I've never really thought about before, but now that I'm seeing it, it makes me really think that, you know what, this is something that's important, and I'm gonna give them my email or buy a ticket to that event or make a $20, $100, 10, 20, $50,000 donation, of course, right? So I love Seth Godin, and one of the favorite quotes I have is, marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but the stories you tell. Customers don't buy a product, they buy a story, and when done right, people believe them because you're being as transparent as you can for them, of course, to believe them. But marketing is storytelling. Stories make it easier to understand the world. And I put this in because, you might know who you want to target and who your audience is going to be, but you're going to have a little bit of a heart and a pulse with yourself of thinking, how do I really want to approach this sort of material that I'm trying to make? And a lot of that, what I suggest is thinking about the story that you're trying to tell. And again, sort of why it matters to share it with everybody, and hopefully why they should get involved. And that kind of brings me to the next point, is that everyone is, whether we like to admit it or not, is looking at things that matter for us. And we are looking at, what's in this for me. So a lot of the marketing things you should be thinking about is stuff that they, should care about. And again, what are you offering to them? Like if you're taking care of an issue in their community that they genuinely don't have time to give community service to, making a donation or promoting like an event on their page is free, or, it's something that they can help then become a part of. And I feel like that is definitely something you want to kind of convey to them so they can see themselves and how they're going to support your organization. So I put, one of the things I do, because I'm so overwhelmed with, where should I start? Where should I start? I obviously just kind of create a bullet point list of things that I feel like will matter to people and kind of what matters to us. And I try and bridge those two things together. And so a couple of things that, for example, we've implemented for the Sunshine Acres Children's Home and the AZ Goods is sharing, our organization's mission, having that kind of constantly be out there for people to remember what we're about. Sharing the work that we do. So we try and, showcase the outreaches or the events, or even just awareness work of like things that we have to deal with. Such for us, we talk a lot about the landfills, and we do have a sustainable mission as well, and just milestones that we've accomplished as an organization, like to show that we've been committed and dedicated to doing the most impact with our nonprofit. And again, feel good stories of measurable direct impact. So for example, if you had an event, did you raise so many dollars that now is going to benefit that mission or that program that you're trying to fund? And showing kind of the transparency of what you did with some kind of accomplishment, and how again that's going to tie to your mission or the impact that you're trying to make. People like to see that transparency, and they also like to see that you're out there doing what you say that you're doing. So let's talk shop. And obviously, we're speaking mostly all in digital world today. So my thing is, you're building your online presence. I like to call that kind of like your house. You might have different rooms in your house, but regardless, still each sort of room has its own purpose in the grand scheme of things. And so you can kind of look at all these different tools as, all these different things that you can use to sort of build your online presence, aka build your, online house. So that way people have multiple ways of engaging with you, because people are obviously interested in different things. So kind of trying to implement as many of these as possible is also helpful, because stuff that I've posted maybe like a year ago, somebody finds it, and then we have like another lead or sort of opportunity that we didn't have to do too much work to get. So it's kind of like building with intention, and kind of like leaving it up to purpose of whoever is going to connect with that piece. So don't ever think that you doing certain projects aren't as important, because you might find that they're really valuable to you later on down the road. So the ones that I'm going to talk about today specifically for social media is going to be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. There's obviously a lot of other different platforms to use, but I feel like the algorithms on these ones, we kind of have learned enough on how to post on them to be seen. When you think about social media platforms, you might think about, sharing videos or sharing, content. But for you as a nonprofit, especially if you're trying to have your target audience find you, there's a way that you should kind of think about posting on each one of these platforms in order for you to get found. Like similarly to Google, you type something in that you're looking for, and then boom, it pops up like all these resources. These platforms can be used in that same way if you know what you're doing and the right way to approach how to post on them. I don't want to go into too much detail about this, but for example, I'll give a couple examples of how to post on each one. And again, you can always talk to me about this later if you're not sure what I'm talking about, because it's a lot of information today. But basically, for example, Instagram. Instagram, we know, is huge because it's very image driven. It's very video driven. It's, easy to kind of add your friends or add pages that you follow and find people pretty quickly. A lot of people will, post a video and write a caption. But again, going back to my analogy of looking at social media platforms like a search engine, using hashtags is really important as well, because like I mentioned, people can over time find your posts through hashtags, especially if you have, a certain hashtag and your content is very relevant for that hashtag. Like for example, nonprofits, AZ, or something, regarding the type of work that you do. Other nonprofits might be able to find you, similarly to people that are volunteering or maybe trying to, figure out the landscape of a certain issue. If, my mind is thinking about like, cancer awareness, and maybe somebody just had a recent cancer diagnosis, and then now they're like, whereas they didn't care before, deep diving into all of these resources. You want your nonprofit to pop up, because maybe you'll find a client that way that needs your support. So for example, on Instagram, when you post a image or a video, again, you want to make it as relevant to the topic that you're talking about. And again, appropriately putting hashtags. And an easy way to also do this is you could look at the hashtags first and then see what other people are posting. That is genuinely the fastest way of speeding up content creation ideas, because like you want to throw your head against the wall because you're like, what do I start with first? It's like, well, look at what other people are doing and then kind of use that as a way to like fuel your ideas, so that way you don't have this sort of like looming time every time you have to think about content to post. And Facebook, I want to talk about, because Facebook is, it's a little bit messy. There's a lot of options now in Facebook. But the one thing I do like about Facebook is that they offer groups, and groups are amazing because similarly to email marketing, you have direct access to people and they're going to see your content so long as they open your group, right? So if you have, maybe a bunch of donors or a bunch of people that are volunteers, people that want to get involved with your nonprofit, putting them and building a group, which definitely takes time, is a really great way to, show them and make sure they see your posts. Because again, the algorithms on a lot of social media platforms keeps posts from being seen. I don't know if anybody here is using like a business page on some of these platforms, but even business pages also have a hard time with, you get literally bumped down in visibility because they want you to pay to be seen by using their Instagram or their Facebook ads, which definitely can be helpful. And using some of those ads during, event times or time sensitive things are really effective. So again, that's kind of why using a combination of all these different platforms is going to get you the most views and become the most seen. I do like to talk about LinkedIn for nonprofits, because especially when you're trying to build your support and trying to connect with the right people, finding the person who gets to make the calls is key. And most cases, LinkedIn, of course, has a lot of the executive people that you might need. For example, if you're trying to get a bank to sponsor an event, maybe finding the general manager of that bank through LinkedIn, sending them, hey, this is my nonprofit, this is what we're about, do you support this? You can go in person to the store as well, but like for saving gas and saving time and energy, using professional sites like that kind of help with lead generation and networking in the right places. Okay, and then so tips for posting. And again, everybody will have the same presentation after this meeting. I think I've already sent it, but you will have another email from me with all of this stuff in it to reference. But tips for posting. So I already kind of gave you a little bit of a huge head start, which is, basically look at what other people are doing. So that one, obviously, you can start there to kind of get these ideas. But then when you need to put the messaging together and kind of create some of these designs, one of the big things that I just tell everybody right off the bat is, if you don't have a logo, pick some color schemes, but you want to be consistent with how that design looks, because again, you're building brand recognition, which allows people to quickly know, oh, it's from so-and-so organization, and then they pay attention to it. And, it just is moreover kind of just a consistent professional thing to do, is by, not using a bunch of different colors or font styles as you're creating your messaging. You kind of want to, decide, okay, I want to do this piece of content this way, this piece of content this way, this piece of content this way, and then like look at them all together and say, okay, these like look okay. Or like, wow, it literally looks like a bunch of different random things together. Let me try and like streamline this. So, whatever process you do to get some of your content started and branded, you can always get better over time. So don't be afraid to start, because you know, if you don't start, then you'll never go anywhere. So start somewhere, but sort of, you know, be consistent with it, because that is, I think, one of the things that is like, you shouldn't start. You should get more organized and then start to post. So which is what I'm going to go over in Canva. Canva has very customizable templates that are almost like, and I think even in one of the links I have here, I included some Canva information on nonprofits specifically. So using templates is amazing, because that already gives you that professional look, and then just sort of customizing those templates to maybe the font style that you use or the color schemes that your logo has are sort of like an easy cherry on top to finish your little marketing asset template library. And like I mentioned, thinking about, you know, when you're in Canva, if you have, okay, I'm going to do a post on my nonprofit's mission, letting people know who we are, what we're about. I'm going to do a story on this successful past event that we did, so people know that we're going out there. And I want to have maybe like a direct positive impact story with one of the, you know, clients that we helped through our nonprofit's effort. So you kind of have maybe your 3 pieces of content, and that's sort of like what you should be designing template-wise in Canva. So you kind of have a consistent template of our impact story, a consistent template of, you know, X, Y, and Z. So using that bullet point list is going to help you sort of know what you're doing in Canva and why you're doing it. And like I mentioned, just kind of staying transparent. I think the content bullet points sort of give you the transparency component, because you're sort of breaking down your skeleton of, you know, organization. You're breaking down, you know, what all encompasses what you guys do, and that sort of transparent part or piece in all this will sort of be brought to light, and people will sort of quickly see like, okay, wow, they're really wanting us to know what they're doing and how they're doing it. So that was all social media and kind of the Canva templates. The email marketing part is something that we actually just implemented in Sunshine Acres Children's Home for the donation centers. And just by, you know, starting to send some emails to their database of emails that subscribed, they saw and have consistently seen over this term a 20% increase in revenue to their donation stores just by implementing a couple messages. So email marketing is extremely effective, especially if you're constantly engaging people about it, to make sure that it's not going to their spam. You know, if you're, you know, making sure people see these things through social media is helpful. But the best thing about email marketing is that you have direct access to their inbox. So they're going to see your message. And it's just one of those additional supporting ways that, like we mentioned, if you're not, you know, talking, no one's listening. This is just kind of, for me, a really powerful thing that you should definitely look into. Because as we talked about for social media, your algorithms are changing all the time on those. And so, you know, it's, especially if you don't have the budget for paid ads, you know, it's really important to try and do really direct marketing tactics to give you the most exposure. And then, like I mentioned, Canva, I love it forever. It's amazing. I used to work for like large corporate tech companies, and they had all kinds of complicated design tools. Canva is literally for the everyday person, and it works just as effective, if not more effective. So I will show you a little bit about what that looks like. You can get a free version if you want to. If you want to get the paid, you can get more nice graphics and images that they offer. But I definitely am a huge advocate for using Canva as a design tool. And like I mentioned, the way to start probably with your email marketing, you know, how do I want to lay this out is, like I mentioned, it's always better to look at what other people are doing. So if you go into your own email and you look at all these constant email marketing messages that Nike's sending you or whatever business, like look at how clean, look at how effective that they're laying out their content, and then just take note of that when you're deciding to create your own templates. So the two email marketing tools that I just love so much are MailChimp and Constant Contact, because they have so many online articles to reference for support when you are learning how to use the tools. They have a ton of best practices for creating effective email marketing campaigns, so that I think that it's the most valuable to have everything in one place. And so learning how to do this is always really helpful, especially when the tool you're using has support articles, literally screenshots. So I will show you guys. The MailChimp is actually what we have for AZ Goods. And then the Constant Contact profile is what we use for Sunshine Acres Children's Home. The nice thing is that once you create an email template, you can actually duplicate those templates. So if you wanted to, get one email campaign designed and then just do iterations off of that, it's really simple to set it up. And similarly to Canva, both of these are going to be a drag and drop designer tool for you. So a lot of it is really easy to use once you get logged in. Again, you have all the screenshots to show you how to do this, but this is a very user-friendly tool, really powerful, and either one you're going to have a great time using. So this is just an example of kind of the email template that we use at AZ Goods. And just some best practices for designing email marketing. What you'll see both us and Sunshine Acres has is we've sectioned off the email marketing content into a couple different sections of basically showing, okay, the call to action, the first thing you want people to know about that looks the most interesting to them should always be at the top. So for the forum email, putting the event details right at top is super key. Having like a little graphic, which you can use a template in Canva that adds like the visual that you want. And then just incorporating these other small things that matter to your nonprofit. So, if they don't scroll down all the way, that's fine. But some people will, they see an email, you gave them something right at the top that they're interested in, and then they'll kind of scroll down and, basically scan the rest of the information. And, just make sure when you send out these emails that you're giving them kind of like everything that you're about. So that way you have more opportunity for them to maybe connect with wherever they would like to. So again, MailChimp, Constant Contact, I'm going to move on. They have lots of self-help articles on there. The nice thing about MailChimp is that it's free for 500 contacts. So that's why I love this one, because as a nonprofit, like, you're saving your money, justifying expenses. This is a really powerful tool for free. And you don't have to spend a bunch of money on the subscription. The Constant Contact one is a paid offer. So, just research both tools. These aren't even all of the tools available. These are just the ones that I recommend because of the user friendliness and the amount of support that it has. But find the best one that works for your organization and the size of where you're at. So Canva, I'm going to show you the design tool and just how fun and easy it is to use. So the fun thing about Canva, I will just go back to the home page, is that they actually have all of these marketing presentations for you. So you can come in here and say, okay, I want to, get a Facebook cover photo. You can go into the Facebook cover photo option, which literally has all of the right dimensions. And then you immediately have a library of all of these really nicely designed things, and you can go through and modify it. So immediately text you can update, images you can change out, you can swap it out with things that are on your computer, adding new images, all this great stuff. Canva has a lot of amazing support articles, but I just wanted to show you how easy the tools are nowadays for email marketing, and that if you don't know how to design something, work off of a template, because their designers were probably paid a lot of money to set all the stuff up for us. And so definitely use the resources that are available. So yes, again, the best thing about Canva is that they have these templates that have already the preset dimensions, so you can spend less time worrying about how you're going to manage and upload something, because it's going to fit perfectly. And then, like I mentioned, any different marketing material that you want to pick on or use, you get these templates right away, and you can quickly tailor and edit them, which we have done for, this is an example of the Sunshine Acres project folder, where we created different graphics that we literally use on all the different platforms that we have on Facebook, Instagram, email marketing. And then we just basically will modify these templates and, use literally week after week. So that way they don't have to do too much time and energy into the creation process. But like I mentioned, everything here we have consistent for our branding. And then we just obviously swap out an image or edit the text. And then we're literally posting this on all the channels that we are connected to. So now I'm going to spend the last moments talking about AI. And I'm really excited about this because for nonprofits especially, this is genuinely going to help you quickly get the ideas on paper of what you're doing. Creativity is really hard to sort of manage in between more structured work. So helping your body and like easing your energy into it is like the secret sauce to just making magic with it, or like getting something done that you're proud of. And AI honestly is kind of something like that I think is an accelerator. I use it a lot of different ways, and I'm going to kind of share some of the things that I feel like a nonprofit can use to benefit their organization specifically. So I put work smarter, not harder, what things you can get done with AI. So obviously there, of course, are cans and cans in life, and AI has its, of course, limitations. But I think for you to speed up the marketing initiatives that you're doing, this is definitely the things that, AI can do. It can definitely help you think faster, be more intentional with the work you're about to create, and just help you keep going with ideas. So the AI can, and when I say AI, I'm specifically just going to reference Chat GPT. But basically, Chat GPT is similar to a search engine where you can, type in words into a bar and immediately get these auto-generated responses. So when you're thinking of generating ideas to brainstorm, again, I definitely use it for marketing ideas to kind of help me just get to the point that I want to get, and then sort of almost use it as like a structuring way that I expand upon it. So if I'm like, okay, I need some content ideas for 4th of July for my nonprofit, we have a donation center. Most of the time, and I've tested it quite a bit with almost no life left in me, but like I've really been like trying to see like the limitations of what you can get from it. And it does definitely consistently give ideas and brainstorming things to help you with marketing. And I'll kind of show you some of what that looks like as well. Also understanding complicated topics. I personally, I've used the complicated topics part when I'm going over grant information or just like really sort of like detailed writing. I can have it give me a summary of the topic. And obviously I always double check in Google if it's valid or not, because sometimes it can say random things that don't exist. But if, again, you're being specific with what you want it to do, it will give you some pretty helpful information to help you with what you're trying to accomplish. And then also the writing assistant part is really crazy because I mean, had it write for me blog posts. I've had it and I've had it write for me blog posts, email marketing things. I've had it help me with some of our policies and procedures for some of the stuff that we're doing internally. So it definitely is really amazing for generating content text specifically. So if you're like, write me a blog post on this topic, and you give it maybe bullet points on things you want to kind of have it know, it will literally write some information around those bullet points and help you kind of write a article, which might have taken you maybe an hour or two, and then you're editing it within 20 minutes. So that's a lot of time and energy that you just saved for yourself. But like I mentioned, there's definitely some bugs of like, where is it getting its knowledge from? And it's not a academic resource by any means. So this is more of content creation on, writing that is nothing to do with scholarly articles or research papers or anything super technical. It kind of just doesn't it just kind of makes stuff up. It's really weird. But like I mentioned, when using it right, you can definitely have it help you with website page content, blog posts, uh, little summaries for social media. I definitely always, ask it to, make sure this is SEO friendly if you're doing things for your website, things like that to really make the content as robust as possible. Like I mentioned, the can'ts. So it thinks it's a scientist and it will do a really great job of telling you fake news and fake science. Professors have already debunked this, but it doesn't exist. So don't, like I said, try not to put in anything that you need to be held accountable for, because then it probably will not steer you in the right direction. And like I said, anytime I had it write too long articles, like 10 pages, like it's just not going to do it. So, usually a good couple pages, I think, is all that it's good for. So nothing lengthy or extremely long, because then it starts kind of getting a little bit wonky. And then it doesn't, know current events or predict the future. So, if you're trying to have it tell you something about the future, it's probably also going to give you scary stories as well. So I did, as I mentioned, entered in some, they call them prompts, basically, AKA I texted and asked it a couple things. And these are just some kind of examples of how you can approach the AI and have it sort of be directly, specifically for your nonprofit work. So this, I put, how up to date is the information you're referencing when giving me responses? This is, I think, a really important one because, again, they mention my responses may not always reflect the most current news or developments. News is constantly evolving, and new information can emerge that may change the context or understanding of a topic. So it does not go and search Google for you to give you the most up-to-date information. There's, like it mentions, human trainers and publicly available data, aka like institutions, things like that, licensed data where it's going to pull from. But it does not connect, unfortunately, to Google or the internet right now and give you like real-time, up-to-date things going on. So I'm just you can read all of the detail it gave me after this, but one of the questions that I asked the AI to do was, can you give me an example of ways that a nonprofit can effectively market themselves through social media for better engagement from their target audience? And then bam, it gives you basically develop a comprehensive social media plan. It tells you how to do that. Create compelling and shareable content. It tells you how to do that. Utilize storytelling techniques. It tells you how to do that. So when I get a, kind of numbered list like this, I like copy and paste it, put it on like my Google Doc or something like that. And then I start to then bullet point each number a bunch of different ideas or things that I might work on. And then I'll go to like Brian, my VP, or Tanya and be like, okay, here's what are some ideas I have. What should we work on first? Or like, how do you want to order the stuff that we want to put out to people, right? And you can kind of prioritize and really help yourself with getting stuff done faster. And then, like I mentioned, with a better, thought process around it, because you're not spending so much brain energy on thinking all of this stuff organically. I definitely get into research rabbit holes where I'm trying to write an article and I can't stop reading about different sources and different points of view. And then I'm like getting too many notes. And then I'm like, I don't even know where to start. So AI, I think, helps really, really well with creating things in like bite-sized pieces, which is best practice for marketing. So asking questions like, how can I market myself effectively is going to be a really beneficial thing for you to get, the details like this, and then allow you to kind of bullet point off from there. And then I put this too. I'm a nonprofit who has little time and energy to dedicate to my social media. What are some ways that you can help me create a content strategy plan that promotes my mission and goals, engaging my audience better? And then again, it lists it out. Define your goals, understand your audience, determine your key messages. This again will really help you kind of get the wireframe that you need to really start to think out your online marketing plan. And then I just love bullet points, and it allows you to kind of make a bullet point into an actionable task. And then you start to check off the task and you feel really great about yourself. So I definitely love this way that you can communicate with it, telling it like your needs, that you don't have time or energy, and then it helps you really to get the answers you need with those issues. And then consistency is key. So basically, you got to focus on the story. I think, for example, like us at Sunshine Acres Children's Home, we have 3 donation centers that are a huge part in supporting our children's home and the programs that we offer for the kids that live in that property, in that area. So we definitely always want to try and focus on sort of like our why. Our why is, why are you supporting all of these donation centers and shopping here? Because, these are connected to these at-risk youth kids that don't have anything, and that we're taking on all of their care. And again, your donation, your purchase supports a bunch of those children. And obviously, I think that's, for us, is our biggest compelling part, because people gave us their information and they come to the donation center. Some have never even heard that we're a children's home, but then other people came to us knowing they're a children's home, and then they became a customer. So trying to make sure you're focusing on sort of the story and the thing that humanizes sort of what it is that you're doing is really key, when always considering that those points should sort of be throughout your content and that you're constantly bringing that up. So this is just kind of another thing too. Your story obviously needs to be consistent, but so does your branding, making sure, like I mentioned, we have all of our branding for each sort of like a graphic or thing that we're posting on a different website. We've sort of made sure that we have all of those templates set up, so that way people get used to seeing our information, and just psychologically, when people are like, oh, I recognize that, they kind of just still draw their attention to that. Wait, who's that from? Like it really does allow people to kind of quickly say, oh, I recognize that. And then boom, you literally are already lucky you got their eyes on your material. And that's genuinely all you're trying to do. Of course, other than have them do what you want, but like ultimately you got them to stop and look. And I believe 100% that the branding, using your consistent logos, using your color schemes and font choices is huge for easily building rapport online. And then the presentation sources are here. So I do have, like I mentioned, some of this stuff you can for sure read in detail. And even some stuff from Amazon in here about the authenticity marketing component. And then, like I mentioned, the best resources I think in here for you guys is best MailChimp templates for nonprofits. So you can see the designs, and then your ultimate guide to nonprofit marketing through Canva. That was that design tool. And the last thing here is that I actually was able to save the conversation that I had with AI for nonprofits. So you can actually see all these questions that I asked it from like a nonprofit's perspective, and you can keep this information for yourself and kind of be able to jumpstart whatever it is that you want to use this resource for. And so I'm gonna stop presenting so my screen doesn't do the infinity thing. There we go. And I'm just going to ask if anybody has any questions. If you just want to mention something, this is recorded. We only got like 5 minutes left. So if you have a quick question, you can ask it. Or if not, you can always reach out to me after this is done. Oh, TikTok. Okay. So TikTok is super new. The best thing about TikTok is that if you figure out the way to design content around what's getting the most views, like I think anytime you're going to post something on a platform, you need to like learn what that platform is actually posting already, because clearly that's what people are paying attention to, that's what they want to see. You don't like they say like TikTok is for like, you know, somebody who's more relatable, being authentic. They're like in their room like this, like talking on their phone like that, eating like chips. And everybody loves that because everyone is so sick of like a curated experience or a curated like life, like Instagram. Instagram has become very like, here's me at my highlight, here's me doing the best thing in the world, da da da. Like it's not as authentic. And so TikTok, I definitely like to say, is the more authentic, real app where, you know, you want to, like I mentioned, look at how other people who are posting about content that you want to post about are posting, genuinely match that sort of layout, maybe add your twist to it, but at least starting somewhere and testing out the algorithms and what's getting views and what's not is really important. And that goes down to the video that you're posting, the caption that you're using, and like the hashtags even. So try and like look at like a scientist, putting your scientist hat on and saying, okay, why is this TikTok about this nonprofit getting so many views? How are they in the video? What does the caption look like? What hashtags are they using? And then try and match that. But yeah, TikTok for me is like the realest. I love it so much. But you know, look at what people are doing for specifically what you're trying to post for, and follow that as your guidebook. And then just Google articles on like, how can I post best on TikTok? Oh yeah. So I've been getting so many conflicting pieces of info concerning using AI for grants. I haven't used it for grants. I just think that because it's really great at just, I think, writing descriptive words, and it was, I think one of the things it was trained on was kind of being like a poem, like a, what's that word called? Um Doing poems, doing public speaking. So it has like a great voice when it does write the content. But the grant, because that's so official, I wouldn't trust it. I would just, you know, maybe get ideas for how to write a grant on the AI and then research on a normal search engine some of the information. And then somebody who's an expert in writing grants, I would probably go to one of those individuals, because I know that there are specific grant writers that are probably a better use of time, and you know, that's something very serious, so I probably wouldn't trust that with AI. And a good number of hashtags to put in a post, honestly, because you're trying to get found, the max limit that you can put is great. And again, you can research what other hashtags are out there and what people are most engaging with to kind of maybe match those hashtags, but I think that no one's looking at anybody anymore of how many hashtags, but the more hashtags you have, the more key phrases you can be found for. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is everything that I had. And like I mentioned, I will have the PowerPoint presentation of everything I went over with all those resources in the email for you guys. And you can always, like I mentioned, just email or message me if you have any other questions. And this talk will be uploaded to our YouTube so other people can see it. Anything else? If not, amazing. Yeah, honestly, I would delegate this stuff. AI should be your assistant using it. Like if you're busy and you have someone you can delegate, AI is genuinely the perfect um, assistant tool. Give them Canva, give them email, give them AI, and you'll see that they'll do a lot of amazing stuff with it. So cool. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a good night and thank you for taking the time to learn information so late in the evening. I appreciate it.